And we're live. What's going on? Welcome, Caleb.
How we doing, guys?
Welcome, man. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here in Miami Beach.
Yeah, first time here, huh?
Yep, haven't been here in almost 15 years.
Wow, it's a big change, huh? I mean, Mendez will be able to tell you that a lot better than I can, but.
So wait, so this is the first time you visit Josh?
Mm-hmm.
In what, 7 years that you've lived here?
Yeah, I've been here, about just a little over 7 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, and I've been in Tampa for about 5 years now, so way overdue.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming for sure.
Way overdue.
So for those of you listening and for those of you tuning in, Caleb's been a good friend of mine since we were, I don't know, what, like 7, 6, something like that. He grew up about a block away from me, so from bona fide upstate New York.
That's right, baby, from the 315 to the 305.
Yeah, pretty interesting transition for sure, to say the least. Why don't you kind of tell everyone, what you've been up to the past couple of years?
Well, I, did the traditional route originally, went to college 4 years, had fun in college, played some rugby and a little bit of hockey, and moved down right after college from upstate New York right to Tampa. I highly recommend doing that and saving a lot of money instead of coming down with minimal. But you live and learn.
Yeah.
But since then, worked in corporate for a couple years, did well there. Left corporate a couple years ago and been in a couple different verticals since then. Real estate primarily, and then Amazon within the last year, and have an ATM business with a couple locations over the last couple of years too. So a couple different things. I really like building businesses and connecting. So, and what a better, can't beat being in Florida doing it. Like,
yeah, no taxes, sunshine, beautiful women, great food.
Blessed.
Hard to find a few places that beat Florida, and down here in South Florida especially.
That's why I don't leave my city.
Yeah, born and bred, huh?
Born and raised.
Yeah, I can see how it can be addicting to stay here. Why would you go elsewhere and you're like, can't beat it.
So what have you been doing? You said that you've been working with Amazon. I know a lot of people, especially our listeners, are in the online realm, or they would like to get into the online realm. And, how did you, what are you doing specifically with your Amazon business, and how'd you get started with that?
So specifically what I'm in is Amazon automation. So basically that means a little over a year ago, I was getting out of the real estate industry, which was my primary focus at the time, and wanted to get into a different vertical. And so I came across this Amazon automation. So basically it's an upfront investment, and it is passive. It's one of the very few that's a lot of, I know you guys have talked about, passive income is a myth. That's very true. This is probably, and this is from a lot of, large entrepreneurs nationwide that are involved with it. This is probably one of the closest passive investments where there's really not much upfront work, just capital working for you. And so I invested in that a year ago with a team running the store with virtual assistants, and basically they're listing products from a supplier, a nationwide supplier, on the store. And then when the customer purchased on Amazon, we would then charge, my card would get charged for the product, and we would make a cut in between. So it's just like retail arbitrage, right? And then, did well with that. We hit about 60K in gross sales within the first, it was like 6 months, 7 months, towards the beginning of 2020. And then, my profit margins were super dismal. I was really upset with the providers. So I stopped working with them, put my store on pause, and switched over to fulfillment by Amazon. So what I was doing before was drop shipping. The fulfillment by Amazon part is where these huge fulfillment centers, then you see, I didn't see any on the way down there. Have you guys seen like Amazon's fulfillment centers? They're like,
they have like private warehouses that they
here.
rent out, that they lease out, but they don't.
Tampa's the one that has the big one.
So like if you drive from Tampa to Orlando on I-4, I did this a couple weeks ago going to visit a friend, and these things are like 10 football fields. I mean, they are so big, you can drive trucks and tractor trailers and stuff. Jeez. They're just like their own miniature cities. And it's just incredible. It just blows my mind. You'll just see them in like a cornfield, or not a cornfield, a cow field in the middle of Central Florida. You're like, what is that thing? It's like from outer space. It's so big. So that's where my products now go. And before I was selling general merchandise, household goods, couches, outdoor furniture, all the way down to like Kleenex boxes. Wow. So like now I have to pay to get brands approved to sell, and my store credentials and everything. Amazon's got all these metrics to gauge that you're taking care of their customers, because, you know, they provide the customers, right? I mean, over 50% of people that shop on Amazon are Prime. So they provide the customers and provide a space for you to put your products. And as long as you're really taking care of the customer and your metrics look good, you're going to rank higher and sell more. And there's a lot that goes into it, but it's pretty cool. But right now I'm selling some women's clothing and working on Guess brand. You guys know that brand, Guess?
Yeah.
So I'm working on them. Just got approved to sell with them recently. So now we're in the ramp up stage for the fulfillment by Amazon side of things. But again, I'm solely letting a team run it that has been in the industry for almost 10 years. So I'm just trusting them and, you know, learning at the same time. But I'm putting just capital towards it and getting a monthly return on it. So it's pretty sweet.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And just curious, how was that first approach, you know, getting onto Amazon, that whole part of switching over from a corporate to being a self, you know, functioning entrepreneur? Like, what was that experience for you? Like, scary? Was it like, should I do this? You know, was it like back and forth? What was that whole experience for you making that jump?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I've always kind of been, truthfully, a little bit more risk tolerant than most of my friends and family and everything. But, you know, my father's an entrepreneur, so I get that from him.
Big Kaleb Barton. Shout out to Big Kaleb Barton.
Shout out, Pops. How you doing? And, you know, I learned the business skills from enterprise. So, like, I just knew I didn't want to work heavily for somebody else.
Gotcha.
Right? So, like, I mean, you guys understand that, you know, sometimes
100%.
you realize you're kind of unemployable. You just really have a hard time taking direction from someone else if you pick up on things fast. So when I started to make that leap, I was like, well, I mean, I'm going to do it eventually, so why not just like do it now? And I think sometimes people get tripped up in analysis by paralysis, or paralysis by analysis, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that is, and I mean, I had it. Everyone kind of goes through it, but it's, you're either going to do it or you're not. So once you know, take that step forward, you know, you're in there. It's really not as scary as you think it is if you know, believe in yourself and take the right actions and take advice from people that are already in the industry and surround yourself with those other people. I think that might be the biggest thing that I did properly, was made sure I listened to a lot of people that I trusted that were in the industries, and kind of not necessarily cut out the people that weren't, but kept them at a distance so they didn't affect my mindset to bring me down. Like, I don't have time to go out and do certain things if I know tomorrow I've got 2 or 3 calls that could generate income.
For sure.
You know?
For sure.
Yeah, we always, you know, Mendez and I and in our friend groups, we always discuss that same type of topic, right? Where, you know, down here you're exposed to so many activities, so many events, so many dinner parties. You know, you can go out to the clubs. I mean, not now, but, you know, normally pre-corona, you could go out to the clubs. You could go to lounges, bars. You know, there's always like big events, the Super Bowl, Miami Music Week, all that stuff down here. So in order for you to really like stay on task and really focus on what you need to focus on to be successful, it does take a lot of, you know, mental fortitude to be able to kind of block out all those detractors that are just there to kind of, you know, for lack of a better term, like leech off of your hard work and your success and what you're doing. And not everyone, right? Like, there are plenty of great people down here, but there are those people around that are only out there to party with you because they know that they know you have the contacts, or they know you have a little bit of money in your pocket, or whatever it may be. So the ability to kind of like block out those people and continue to be successful year in and year out. There's only a real handful of Miami locals that stay here, over 5-10 years. And you can really see in those people the same type of mindset where, yeah, you can go out and have your fun, but at the same time, you have to be able to, understand and put first things first. When you have to work, you have to work, and then the fun can come later.
Exactly. And that's one of those things where, it all comes down to, who you put yourself around with, like Josh was mentioning, and, moving away those people, not necessarily moving away, but kind of just blocking off some of those people who are trying to feed you this negativity or what they feel is correct, which, if that's how they feel for themselves, great. But for you, that's not correct. And many times you see that with close friends, family, relationship partners, and it's more because of it's almost like they're doing it in a way where they think they're serving you, but they're not. And sometimes too, they don't realize that it's almost like if they do it, not that they're doing it on purpose, but it's almost like a selfish intent for themselves because they want to keep you there with them, not knowing that they're doing that, and it's just like on our end, I remember at the beginning for me, it was one of these things where it's like, I would feel like, so am I doing the right thing? Am I not supposed to be like this? Is this how I'm supposed to think? Am I not supposed to think like that? And the more I put myself with the right people and I self-developed and I realized, wait, they're going through the same shit. And they're saying, no, if you're thinking like this and you're feeling, you're thinking that, man, all these questions you're asking yourself of guilty or this and that, you know what? You're on the right track because that makes you different. That means you're onto something. So keep doing that. You want the people that are telling you all this shit, that means you're doing something right because they're all doing the same shit. So that was the moment where I realized it's like putting yourself with the right people. When you find people like us, those are the people you got to hang out with the most. Just put more of your energy. Doesn't mean you're not going to spend time with your friends or family and your loved ones. It just means that when it comes to the grind of it, the production, the actual meaning of growth, you're going to spend it with the people that want to help you get there, and you vice versa help them get there. So, I think it's just super important for people to understand that in this entrepreneur world, it's all about who you surround yourself with, most importantly.
100% facts. 100% facts. And it not necessarily gets easier, but it becomes more natural once you start to build those good relationships and you start to get a better intuition when you're speaking with people. I mean, typically within 5-10 minutes of a conversation with someone, my one side of my brain saying, is this person's going to provide value for me? And the other side of my brain says, I want to help this person, too. So then you determine if that person, maybe should be part of your circle, or you are going to send referrals if they're in a different industry. And once you start to get a good feel of that and intuition, a lot of things start to become more clear, especially if you have your goals aligned, your action plan set up, of course. But things just become a lot more clear when you know where you're headed. You're not just you take this friend because you met him at a bar and he wants to drink on Sundays or something. Which is exactly. A lot of people. I'm 27. Yeah. A lot of people do that their whole life, and they wonder why they haven't really taken a step forward and done some real shit.
Yeah. Was there ever, when you moved down here, did you ever have that aha moment where it was like, okay, some of these people need to go?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've had that, probably 3 or 4 times. It's ever evolving. The process of growth is a lifelong commitment. And if you don't see it that way, you're selling yourself short somewhere. And I mean, some people are sold for an X amount of dollars. Like if someone gave you $100 million, would you just not do anything the rest of your life? Or would you, try to still stick with a purpose of some sort?
Purpose of spending that cash.
That's right.
I know what Josh would do.
I wouldn't be in this room.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that like I wouldn't be hype if someone said, hey, Kaleb, here's
any of you listening,
things.
we're willing to accept $100 million if you got it.
Yeah. I'm, kbarts_biz on Instagram. I'll tell you my phone. I'm just kidding.
You might get doxxed, bro. You better be careful.
For that Versailles shirt Josh is wearing.
But yeah, I've had multiple aha moments, and really it is an aha moment. I'm a huge journaling guy. And I just got into recording my thoughts on voice memo on the iPhone, which is huge because you can look back and review. So I'm a big journaling guy, and normally the aha moments come out in my journaling. And if anybody is not journaling, even if you hate writing, which I do, I recommend it. It clears your mind and allows for more space of new ideas, and it allows you to be more open to new ideas, even if it's completely bonkers and you probably would never do it. You still got to be open to listening.
Now that you brought that up, it's funny. I forgot where I heard that from somebody else that had said that about journaling recently. I think in the last week or two, or maybe the week before, that I was like, huh, interesting. And now that you brought that up again, it might be a sign. Might be a sign.
I think it is, brother.
I think it's a sign.
I mean, I can give you a couple little tips on how I journal. It's pretty basic. I mean, I'll just tell you right now.
Yeah, what are they?
Hit me up.
So I've been journaling steadily for about a year and a half now. I've got, my journal book, and then all I do is I write the date down. Sometimes I'll write the time down. I'm journaling about 5-6 days a week, and sometimes it's 2 pages of journaling. Sometimes it's 4 sentences. But the start of it is always the date and 3 things that I am grateful for. And some days I'm grateful for a refrigerator, or I'm grateful for a glass of water next to my bed when I woke up. Sometimes it's more in depth. Sometimes I'm grateful for a certain person, or I'm grateful for a certain opportunity, or even I'm grateful for the failure I just had and learned a lesson from. But I always start with at least 3 things that I'm grateful for. And then I'll just kind of just start writing maybe how my day was, what I learned maybe the last couple of days, what I'm looking forward to, what are maybe some of my worries, what am I excited for? You really just write all the stuff that's always subconsciously running in your brain on paper, and it becomes more real too, and it makes you face the reality. I've talked to a couple friends through this that have had some issues and depression issues and stuff, and I'm no mindset coach or anything. I'm just a normal dude, but I've experienced myself, so now it's easier to articulate how I've kind of overcome some of those mind games, because your mind, it's such a weapon, but it's also a destroyer.
Today I was having some mind games myself this morning, and I was
Same.
like, boom. I was like, snap that shit out of, nah, can't have that.
No space for that. So
you bringing that up, is there a specific time that you suggest that's best to be able to journal?
So I probably say about 80% of the time I'm journaling after a morning gym session. I'm usually up in the 5 o'clock hour. And for all the people that say you got to be up at 5 a.m. to hustle, everybody's different. Some people are night owls. I have a lot of friends that are night owls and are just as productive, and they do just as well. Find what works for you. I'm a morning person. I get up, crank down a little cup of coffee, get a kick-ass workout in, and then I'll come home, protein shake, and journal, and eat some breakfast, listen to some relaxing music, get my mind clear, so then I can, I say like my day starts heavy, like I'm hitting calls or getting on, sending emails, 9 a.m., 8:30 a.m., my day's kicking in. Those journaling sessions are good. They're usually from the day before, a couple days before, but sometimes if I'm busy in the morning, I go, man, I'd really like to journal right now. So like I'll write down a thought or put it in my notes in my phone. And then tonight I know I'll journal, because it's such a habit now that sometimes if I don't go to journal, like I brought my journal with me this weekend, I'm only here 3 days, but I know if I had like some things I wanted to write down, I would be, kind of annoyed with myself if I didn't have it nearby.
We're gonna burn those pages, by the way, after you write about being here this weekend.
Oh, that's hilarious. No, we're not burning them.
Did you find any hurdles as you were beginning that process of making it into just a habitual thing? And, how did you kind of get yourself back on track when you did come across those hurdles?
To become a habitual thing, this whole thing of 21 days or 28 days, I believe from my own experience I've got some pretty solid habits and I've broken some pretty bad habits. And I base it off of it has to align with where you want to go, and 80 to 90% of your habits have to go that way. Everyone has their own little vices. That's okay. We're all human. But when the struggles of, not journaling, you can just feel it so heavily. Like recently, I just moved from Tampa to St. Petersburg, and I didn't journal for 5 days. But 2 or 3 days ago, I journaled like 3 pages because I just had so much to catch up on, and it felt so good. As soon as I finished journaling, I was like, like it's like after a workout that you're just like, dude, this is the last thing I want to do is go get a lift in or go for a run or go rollerblade or whatever. And then you do it, or even 5 minutes into it, you're like, word, I needed this. I needed this really badly. Same thing with journaling. That's the same thing for me. And it's like now my brain expects it. Like I'll probably journal today now that I think about it. Now I'm talking about it so much, I'm probably going to like whip it out and just write some things down.
I love that, man. I love the fact that you mentioned that too, about just that whole concept of, it made you feel happy, made you feel good when you got back to it. Because I feel like me, even myself, I've gotten a lot better at it. But, I've always been a go.
That's the truth.
Yeah, Josh knows. And I'm sometimes like, it's not enough. And I'm just like, as much as it's great, it's helped me a lot because I just go straight. I sometimes never put time or I forget to put times towards things that maybe make me happy just to take my mind off or just make me, step back and relax for a second, just clear my mind off of things, which I've gotten a lot better at, and be able to just refocus, so, I definitely always encourage, people now. And I always try to remind myself, you have to at least put in at least 30 minutes to an hour, something that makes you happy. That's going to, make you feel good again about yourself, about you, your direction, where you're going, your purpose, and journaling. Shoot, I'm going to even try that. And, yeah, man, I just feel that it's one of those things that you have to put energy or find something that makes you happy and put energy into it. Because I feel like a lot of people, sometimes have a confusion of like, well, am I wasting time doing that because I needed to focus on my business or this and that? But you come to realize that this actually helps you for your business. It helps you for your growth. It helps 100%. You for your lifestyle. So, I do encourage, people out there to go find that one thing that makes you happy, or, let's say, for example, journaling or anything else that will help you realign yourself, because it will help you improve in other areas in your life.
100%. The taking care of your mind, body, and spirit sounds super cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason, because when you do that, the other legs and things in your life, the other parts of your life, like your relationships, your business especially, will increase if your workouts are hard workouts, you're journaling, or you're praying, or you're meditating, or whatever you're doing. Your business is those little hurdles become speed bumps. Yeah. They just don't become an issue, really.
I mean, we were talking to our last podcast guest, Sarah Jameson, an amazing coach and mover, mobility specialist, and we were even talking about how, nowadays with coronavirus and everything that's going on and being stuck in our house, and the election and all of this stressful environment that we're living in, we need to make even more of an emphasis to find time for ourselves where we can kind of step away from all of that stuff and just have it be about us and about us being in this space and being able to do things that we enjoy, or even just being able to do nothing, even though we're stuck inside, like, going for a walk, even something like that really helps clear my mind, so I'll put my dog on the leash and we'll just go, for like an hour and a half and just go for a walk. And, I get to keep my headphones off and I get to enjoy, the sound of the breeze and the water. Luckily, we live by a major body of water. We grew up near one too. Mm-hmm. So that's always been something, being outside, being near the water, being out in nature, hearing the breeze, hearing, the animals moving around. All that stuff is peaceful for me. So I've been really trying to incorporate more of that, even though it's so fucking hot here right now.
Dude, how about running today? I know you love to run.
Nah, I'll go for some. If you pay me, I'll run some sprints with you. But other than that, you're not gonna. I might run to the fridge.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I was doing a workout program during Corona, and it involved 2 workouts a day. So I couldn't really be doing weights every day or doing like calisthenics, and I started running a little bit. I give runners a lot of credit. That shit is boring. I can't do it, man.
Nah, no way.
Whatever, man. I'd rather do 100 burpees than run 3 miles.
We were talking about that the other day.
Yeah, no way. You're not. I mean, you pay me, I'll run sprints with you, but only because you're paying me. But I'm not gonna. No way.
So, Caleb, I want to, I guess, not go off topic, but go back to some of the Amazon stuff. I'm just curious. I was thinking about what was that process for you as far as creating this automation? I know we hear more in different things that are going on. Automate. Social media automation, YouTube automation, this automation, that automation. First of all, what's the importance of automation? How'd you start it? And also as well, a lot of times it gets thrown out there, but I know that we all know that you need to have some kind of capital as well to be able to automate whatever it is that you're doing. How much realistically does that look like for somebody if they're going to look, let's say in Amazon, to create an automation, and then that process of, being on top of it?
Certainly. Good question, really. So on the automation piece, so I came across these guys who are professionals in setting up these stores, and, you get an LLC created, and, you get your seller permits, and you get approved with Amazon. They look into your background. And then the upfront investment to get started, to have these guys run your store and these virtual assistants, which the team I'm with now is in the United States. They're all real people, and they're not overseas. So that makes me feel good, as an American, that I'm keeping some jobs here and not paying overseas, which I can't say much because my other real estate businesses a couple of years ago, we were paying Philippines and stuff, but we're providing people jobs, right?
For sure.
The automation, it's $15K up front for the investment. It will be going up. I mean, it's in demand right now. If you just type in Amazon automation, or you do spend a half hour on Instagram, you will find it is a very up and coming business, and a lot of big time influencers and entrepreneurs nationwide are doing it. I mean, I know of a guy in Tampa that millions and millions of dollars in real estate, completely shut down his real estate wholesaling business, and is now dedicated to Amazon and a couple other verticals.
Wow.
So, there's people that are really behind it. So then the $15K up front, after that, the cool thing is you can really scale your store as fast as you want, almost, after a first couple of months of kind of just warming up, letting Amazon know you can take care of your customers, which the quality control with the team that I work with is on point, because they're in-house in the warehouses checking the products before they leave with their hands on the products, which is huge. So you can, spend a couple $100 in inventory up front, or you can spend 10 grand. Some people that work with these guys are spending 5, 10, 15 grand a month. I'm just spending right now just a couple grand a month. And sales are trickling in nice, and I'm looking forward to Q4 of 2020, because, man, if the coronavirus didn't make people realize that online, I know you guys are huge online guys and digital products and your training programs and everything, you got to recognize there's a massive shift.
Huge.
And I think brick and mortar is great, but there will be more entrepreneurs in the digital space, within the next 10, 15 years, that it's going to be a wave, and it's going to be very prevalent to even the normal civilian. But yeah, you can scale it as fast as you want, but that money's got to come back to you. So you want to be comfortable. You don't want to be silly,
Definitely. I agree with that. And just to kind of bounce off that question I had asked you. So we all know the whole automation, we want to be able to work smarter, not harder. But at the same time, from your experience, how can we let our listeners know that just because you're working smarter, not harder, doesn't mean you still don't have to put in work? So kind of, I would love to hear your process of that, like what your day looks like, what it is you're doing with this team, how on top of are you with this team, and then at the same time, what is it that it alleviates from you having to do extra work from? Because what I see is now you can avoid doing some of the tedious stuff or some of the stuff. Not that it's not important, but it just helps you focus on the more scaling aspect of it. I would love to hear that process of like what are you handling, and then what are they handling?
So legitimately, they're handling talking to customers, shipments, processing shipments, putting in tracking orders, communicating with Amazon directly to get approved for more suppliers. They're talking directly to the warehouse. They're talking to their quality control managers with Amazon. They are reaching out to customers with customer service issues. They're handling everything of the business that is very time consuming. Running, because I didn't want to have another business where I'm working in my business heavily. I wanted to open it up so I can, go into another vertical. And at the time when I was leaving real estate, I got to do something else. I got like ATMs going on. I don't know, so I'm like, let's try this. Let's go. Boom, jumped in. Kind of just, went in, head first. And I've learned some lessons, that's for sure. But so, I'm talking to them maybe 2-3 times a week, just communicating with the team. Checking up and like, am I getting approved for this next brand? I'm looking to buy some inventory in the next couple of weeks because the sales trickled to a certain point where I'm like, okay, I'm comfortable buying some more inventory. But really they do 95% of the work. I mean, legitimately at this point, after you set up your store and everything, get comfortable with the system, they're even dealing, like if your account, here's a big thing on Amazon that a lot of automation providers and people on Amazon won't tell you. You can get your store shut down and Amazon, really doesn't have to really give you your money back.
Wow. If
you have sales. You're essentially leasing that platform. It's like leasing a business and they're just providing the customers in the system. So I forgot where I was going with that, but I'm really not doing much. It's pretty cool. It's like, that's why I was like, when you hear those things are too good to be true, I was thinking that for about 6-8 months,
for sure.
But I saw proven back end statistics and numbers and bank statements and stuff. And then I was like, all right, I'm in. And then you can't hesitate at that point.
How do you think, knowing you since we were little kids, right? Your dad's a pretty big boss when it comes to, running his business. He owns an electrician business, and even your uncle, with, who was he with? He was a
West Telecom, and he just actually acquired a company out in the Northwest. Forget exactly. So, and he's in his mid-50s, man. So, like, we're talking about commitment to the process and stuff. Like, he just acquired, like, a little company out there. And I don't know. He's really smart. So, it's, like, telecommunications and, like, he understands blockchain technology and all that stuff. And that shit is way above my head, man.
Yeah, future right there.
Yeah, so he's huge into that. But yeah, go ahead.
So, growing up with these men in your life, how much of a role do you think that played, with you being confident in your abilities as an entrepreneur, seeing your father, start his business from the ground up and really turn it into one of the bigger electrical companies in upstate New York?
Yeah, so I was kind of a punk when I graduated high school. I partied all the time in high school. Like, I had an older brother who's, was good friends with Josh too, played football with Josh, basketball, baseball, all sports. Yeah, because Josh is a couple years older than me. And, but we were all homies. So we all kind of did stuff together. But I never really realized until later on in college, like my father coached baseball with me and, he didn't really, I don't even think he's ever put on a pair of skates, and I played hockey my whole life, but he was, he supported me and stuff. But having him and my uncle in my life, I never realized until I matured, maybe like later in college, I had some like real life things happen where I wasn't in the comfort of being at home and stuff like that. I'm so blessed to, be raised with, a good family. Shout out to them. But having good role models is definitely a blessing. And if you have those people in your life, it helps you be, more confident and stuff because they're going to help you instill confidence because you're around it. But I didn't even really realize my dad was an entrepreneur until I was like 24 or something. Oh yeah, he's got a business. Like, I was like, yeah, he can do whatever he wants. I took it for granted. I didn't take it for granted, but I was like, oh yeah, he's got a business, but I didn't really understand, like he was like his output or his input into the business would create income for the family. My mom's a nurse. She wasn't.
Shout out to Trisha as well. We can't leave her out of there.
Yep, she's a saint sent from heaven. I'm convinced, but she wasn't racking it in. So my dad wasn't paying himself for a couple of years. I know this to keep his business going, but having them in my life's been, instrumental. Just little pieces of advice. Me and my dad don't talk a ton about entrepreneurism and stuff, but he's given me some like super succinct piece of advice that just stuck with me, like work smarter, not harder, but you can work hard and smart at the same time. And then like any job, big or small, do it right or don't do it at all. Like that one, I think of that shit when I'm like cleaning my kitchen. Yeah. I'm like, dude, there's like a speck over there, and I'm like, Clorox wipe, So like those little things are just little weird trinkets that stick with you.
I love that you said that, because that's the same thing that my dad and my grandfather would tell me. And none of them were entrepreneurs, but, they always worked very, very hard at what they did, and I think at that point too, it kind of shows me where I had to separate and obviously go into the smart work. But as far as the hard work goes, I learned hard work, like legit hard work. And that was one of the things that stuck to me that they told me is whatever it is that you do the best to your abilities. So if it is, and that even goes, if you're going to be a janitor, be the best freaking janitor. If you're going to be this, because you never know who's watching, and you never know. So too, like for yourself, the confidence you build, the discipline you build, the routine you build, the consistency, that if you can do this with this, imagine as you keep growing, how you can apply the same level of discipline on anything else. And then moving into the smart work, I know this is something you mentioned once or twice. You spoke system. What is your thoughts about the importance of having a system? Because I feel like there's a lot of people trying to do amazing things, great ideas. I've been one of those who even recently realized how important having a system in place is one of the most important things, especially being an entrepreneur, because what happens, it's easy to get lost and deviated when you don't have a system. And having that for yourself can really take your business from here all the way to up here. So how does your system look like, and like what is your thoughts on systems, and what's the best way for somebody to be able, just in general, for any business out there, any person out there trying to do something, what's the best way to be able to discover your system, or where you can go get the right system in place for you?
Certainly. So seeking advice is so huge to me. You cannot be, the most wealthiest people in this world were not just either, they either inherited it, which is cool, or they had someone that taught them how to be productive and structure out their days and stuff. So I was never a calendar person. I always just knew, like, all right, this week I got 4 classes in college. I'm doing those. I got rugby practice. I'm going to hit gym sessions every day. Never had to write anything down, really, right? When you get out and you get in the corporate world, they create your system. You got to be in the office at 7:30. You're leaving the office at 5 o'clock. They create the system for you, but you don't know what you're doing after work. You're probably gonna go home and eat. So when I left corporate, I was like, I don't even have an agenda. Like, I don't have an agenda or a notebook or a planner, calendar. I need one, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, like, because if I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow to be productive, you're getting nowhere. Bottom line. So systems. I have a lot of thoughts on systems. So I really think that they're good if you can follow a system and stay disciplined and routine to it, because a system without execution or action is literally just a piece of, it's nothing. It's literally nothing. All businesses are built on systems. The government's built on systems. Everything that you interact with is built on a system. My personal system for myself to take care of myself, then my business systems. You have to be doing something to realize that a system needs to be in place. And then don't spend so much time working in your business. You have to work on your business. A lot of people just, like, I think of like the entrepreneur guy that starts a pizza shop and he's always slinging pies. He needs to hire people, even if it's going to take a cut in pay, so that he can live a little bit. But putting a system in place is, if you don't even have a system, even if you're working a 9 to 5 right now, if you don't have a system in place for outside of that 9 to 5, I highly recommend it. It helps feel a little bit more free, because you're not having to think about what you're doing. You don't get that anxiety. You don't let your mind catch up to you. And one of my favorite, entrepreneurs guys is a retired Navy SEAL, Jocko Willink. He says, discipline is freedom.
The legend. Yeah.
He is the GOAT.
I love that saying.
I have discipline is freedom written on my whiteboard on my refrigerator because people say discipline is freedom. I go, yeah, try it.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about, writing everything down and getting it in your schedule and setting, especially during the first batch of the coronavirus lockdown, like sticking to a routine and doing all of that stuff, right? But I love what you said as well about like, sticking with a system. I feel like, and we see it a lot in the training world, right? Where people are like, oh, well, I did this diet or, I did this diet and no, it doesn't work for me. It just doesn't work for me. It's like, well, how long did you stick with it?
Yes.
And they're like, oh, 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And I didn't see, I lost a couple of pounds, but then I gained a pound. So I just said, fuck it. It's like, well, that's not nearly enough time for you to be able to see things through and start trying to like work the kinks, right? It's like having a system in place, like you said, is great. But if you can't see it through over a long period of time and really then be able to take a step back and analyze everything and see what went right and went wrong and then adjust it and then continue to use the same system in some format, and then continually work and make improvements to it, then you're never going to see the results that you want, right? So we always talk about consistency being a big thing, but intentional consistency, right? Yes. Where you have a very direct path that you want to head down, and yeah, you're going to kind of sway side to side, but the end goal should always be there. And the amount of, dedication and intention that you bring to that work, needs to follow along with that, I think.
And then, going based off what Josh said, I think, and what Kaleb said, I think it's one of these things too, where I see a lot of people who say, I want to leave my job, the corporate world, to go pursue my dreams or, entrepreneurship or go do this or go do that. And many times they also leave because they're like, oh, I'm stuck in this routine that they have me doing. I don't like doing this and I don't like it having to be like this, or I don't like having a set routine every single day to follow. And I think sometimes what I hear is just, these people, they're not committed to doing something, consistently. So how can you expect to then jump and do the same thing in the entrepreneur world? Because if anything, you're going to have to do more, and that's the thing that I see the misconception. You're going to have to do more. If anything, your routine has to be even more intact than where you're working at now, to create success, because a lot of times they want to move it to entrepreneur and they're like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. I have more time. I have more of this. And great, one day you will
way less time.
You have way less time. And I think that's the other thing that a lot of people have that misconception is where you need to understand that even especially at the beginning, you have to really put some work and effort to it until eventually you can pay out people, automate certain things so that way you then have more time and you can expand on other projects you want to do or just take more time for yourself. But at the beginning, it's like you need to have a routine in place every single day because it's like now it's like you have to bring your own leads. You have to bring your own, you have to create your own conversations with people. You have to, get into the sales aspect and like sales, which is the other thing with entrepreneurs is a lot of these people want to jump into, they're like, oh, but I don't like sales. And I was like, well, then
we were talking about that. We were talking about that earlier today.
You gotta like sales. You gotta like sales, and sales doesn't mean that you're gonna be a in your face hardcore salesman, car salesman. What it means is that you have to go out there and show people your service, obviously the right way and a different way, without having to be a pushy salesman. But if anything, then you're not gonna be able to generate income, and you're actually doing a disservice because if you truly are passionate about what you believe in, then you're doing a disservice to whatever solution you're trying to solve for that person. So, you have to understand that, certain things that you were doing in your corporate world, you have to implement into your entrepreneur space.
100%. Sales is vital. I mean, I went to college for criminal justice. I was going to be a cop. I got into business right out of school with enterprise and, learned business and sales. I was like, hey, I'm pretty good at this. I can talk to people, I always thought sales was influence someone, but really, no, it's providing a solution to someone's issue, usually problem solving. That's what entrepreneurs do, is solve problems. And the bigger the problems you solve, the more money you make, right? Like, it's just facts. So learn how to solve problems. Be a solution-oriented person. Don't be that person that just looks at the negatives of situations. Yeah, be logical in your decisions with that, look at both sides of the field. What are the biggest failures? If this just shit hits the fan with this, am I going to be able to take that? But understand the solution and the opportunity. Look on the bright side of things. Not everything's sunshine and sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah. No, I think, everyone sees the benefits of entrepreneurship, right? Especially once you do have these systems established and you are comfortable in your routine and it is refined to in a way that, can give you back a lot more free time. People see that aspect of it, right? They see, the ability to take vacations with your family, maybe 6-8 weeks out of the year if you're super lucky. Being able to, have the ability to go to different events and things that maybe you wouldn't have if you were just like a corporate shill or whoever, right? But they don't see those sleepless nights. They don't see those 14, 16, 18, 20-hour days, right? They don't see, people sleeping on the futon while we try to plan things out or the fact, like you said with your dad, he went a pretty long time without actually taking in any cash because he believed in what he did. And I think part of why it's not easy to be an entrepreneur is the fact that while everyone else is doubting you, you have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe in, like you said, being an entrepreneur is problem solving for other people, but it's also problem solving for yourself,
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like,
Love that.
I always tell people, like, there's no one that I trust in more than myself to figure out the shit that I got going on in my life,
That's facts.
And if you don't have that, and again, right, like not everyone needs to be an entrepreneur. I think that there is some at times, just like there is with college, right? There is an overemphasis on being an entrepreneur and being, that person that's running the show. That's not for everybody.
And not everybody's going to understand you either.
Right.
As an entrepreneur.
Right. So you need to be, but as an entrepreneur, right? Like if you don't wholeheartedly believe, again, right? Like there are plenty of times where I don't believe in I don't fully believe in some of the things that I have to do, but I have to do them anyway. But what I do have full belief in is my ability that if something goes wrong, I'll be able to figure out a solution to that problem, And for a lot of people, they think that, that just comes easy, that comes, by just having the title entrepreneur or business owner or CEO, right? But that's something internal that you learn over time, right? Through the experiences that you have in life, through the people that help raise you or the people that you grow along with, like your brother was a big influence in my life growing up, my friends in college, Mendez, all of that is a culmination of the success that you have in the long term, and I think that people get too focused on the title. Listen, I don't give a shit what you call me. Because at the end of the day, I know that I'm running the show of my own life, and I know that I'm in control of that.
That's a good point, yeah.
That's the key, and that's what I always say. At the end of the day, it's like it's about being in control of your own life, And I think for me, and I love that Josh mentioned that about it doesn't matter about the title behind you or the title that's given to you. I think it's more about like I'm doing this because I want to be in control, no matter what title you want to give me. And
I love the power.
And Josh loves the power. He loves it.
Makes you feel good.
But it's just one of those things where it's like you realize where it's like this is what you got to do if you want that freedom and control. This is the work you got to put in, and this is the time you got to put into it to obtain that freedom and control.
That's right. Find your vertical and understand your why, and work towards that daily.
Yeah, man. I think all of these are super important aspects about entrepreneurship, being in business, even if you're not the one running the show. I think understanding what really goes into, why your bosses are making these decisions that they're making will help you do your job better. You won't be so resistant when they tell you that you have to go do this boring fucking task over here because you understand maybe that boring task is the one thing that they need to do in order to make sure that the business can be sustained or can be elevated to that goal that they have, and all that will lead towards, your progression within the company, or if you decide to leave, and go and do your own thing or go work for another company, it all plays an integral role in, how businesses work, and everyone does play an important role, even if it feels like you're not doing a ton of the heavy lifting. And, I think we've covered a lot today. I think, a lot of people are going to get a ton of stuff from this. Mendes, do you have anything before we wrap this up?
No, I was going to ask Kaleb something. Now that you're saying about wrapping up, what is the one biggest piece of advice that you can give all the listeners out here from your own personal experience for those who are tapping into this entrepreneurship realm?
I would probably have to say, figure out, so it's kind of two quick pieces of advice, but they tie together. Figure out your ideal day. I mean, your ideal day. Set aside money, set aside stress, set aside all that stuff. I wrote a page out of my ideal day. I can almost recite the damn thing. And that's when I know I feel good. And when you lay your head at night, even in there I wrote, and I lay my head at night and I feel blessed, grateful and full of love, and surrounded by people that love me and I love them, right? That's what I wrote down as in part of there. And then figure out 5 or 6 things that you want to be able to honestly look yourself in the mirror and say about yourself and about your surroundings, and work backwards, reverse engineer it. And that can go for your personal life, that can go for your business life, that can go for your spiritual life, that can go for your health. So I did it as like a combination of all of them. And when I did that exercise, and I'd like to plug a guy that I've been following a while, Austin Rutherford. He's a big real estate investor in Ohio. His book, Valet to Millionaire, lays this out.
What a title.
Unreal. Dude was a valet and hustling in real estate and for like a year and cleared a 6-figure check, and now the dude's rolling in it. He's a really humble dude. I really respect him. Once I did that, shit just got clearer. It gave me a path, and then I had to figure out what action steps, what verticals do I need to be in to achieve these things I write down. So, if you're getting into the entrepreneurship realm and you don't really know where you're going, that's ballsy. It's also a little stupid, honestly. I mean, I've done stupid shit, so I can't say anything.
I think we all have.
Right, but
that's where we can
I think everybody does stupid shit, but I would say learn exactly your ideal life. Like, write that shit out and really think about it. And then reverse engineer from there so you can put the action plan in place.
Love it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
You heard it. Write out your ideal life, your ideal day, and then reverse engineer it.
All right, where can they find you at, Kaleb?
I'm on the gram, kbarts _biz, BIZZ. That's kbarts, KBARTS _biz. I ain't really on Facebook. That's not really my jam, but hit me up in Instagram. More than happy to get on calls with you guys, listeners. I mean, and if you're interested in Amazon automation or the ATM business, I definitely love the opportunity to chat with you and show you those verticals. Are incredible opportunities there.
Show this man some love.
Boom, guys. Until next time.